What's up, guys? This is Life Filter. We have MegaZone next to me.
Hey,
and
everybody.
We're going to be doing a quick mini-cast with the news that we got with
Yes.
Final Fantasy VII and the battle system. We had to come on and talk about this because of
Yeah,
the podcast we just had. We talked about Final Fantasy VII Remake on how we want it to be and hope it becomes this way. And I actually mentioned, don't mess with the battle system and don't mess with the materia, which we don't know what they're going to do with materia, but they already said they're fucking with the battle system.
And the headline just from IGN itself is the main scary part. Let me just tell you, the comment section, holy smokes, did it blow up with hatred all over the place.
Oh my god.
The title is Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat will feature dramatic changes, draw inspiration from Advent Children. Now, we don't understand what draw inspiration from Advent Children is. I'm assuming some camera angles are going to move at some pretty odd places to kind of make it a little flashy and everything, which is fine. That's fine. But dramatic changes, and so that's the scary part.
Yeah.
No turn base is what it's sounding.
Well, it's going to be action. It's going to be... All I can say, it's probably going to be something dealing with, all the quick motions, like in the fight with the Bahamut, and how he's jumping on different platforms and, swinging his sword really quickly and, helping him jump up so he can thrust his sword right through the that flare.
I'm sorry, everybody. My cat just decided, hey, I want to say hello.
That's awesome.
All right.
So that's what I'm talking about. I think that's going to be something that they're going to do. It's going to be flashy, and hey, you never know. The system may actually be really badass, but to the core fans of that game, the game that made millions of people's childhood, in the 90s when they played this game for the first time, and probably was the first game they bought on PlayStation. This actually is a nice little stab to them because they expected a turn-based system that they're familiar with. So now it's not the Final Fantasy VII that they thought it may be. And this is what the outrage is that's going on right now. It's not anything about, oh, they shouldn't do this. It's just the outrage that, they expected something and they're not getting it. And
right.
And that's... And to me, I honestly kind of want it to be the original battle system, like I said before, but now after I had some time to simmer down and realize, this actually may be a cool system and cool thing, but from proof of other statistics, turn-based sells a lot of copies.
A lot more. Now, I want to mention to everybody, it has been 18 years. That's a long time. 18 years since Final Fantasy VII came out. And
I was in middle school.
I was barely in high school. And
I think
I was in 9th grade.
Yeah.
My friends got this game, and they're like, I was hyped because I'm looking at the pictures, and I'm going, oh my god, it's like a 3D.
I was in 9th grade, yeah.
Looking game, and it wasn't just like the normal little 2D sprites. Regardless, it's been 18 years.
Yeah. We didn't have the internet, so we had to get the strategy guide to look up strats. And, he can show...
That's right, everybody. That one right there.
Yeah, that strategy guide. I had the black edition, though. That's the only difference. I think it was the exact same thing, but just different things in the back of the book. I don't know. I don't remember. But anyway.
But yeah, so it's been 18 years, and the statistics here is that when this game came out, okay, within 3 days of its release in Japan, the game had sold 2.3 million copies. Now, I do want to reiterate, this is the first Final Fantasy since Super Nintendo at the time.
Yeah.
Which again, they were just 2D. This was going for a more 3D feel, look.
Yep.
Yeah, they may be turn-based and side to side, but
yep.
certain aspects of a lot of they were 3D figures. So First of its kind is gonna sell more. It's just how it is. People are interested. But there's more proof as to how much farther this game went.
Uh-oh. We lost you. Your cat unplugged stuff. Well, I'll let him fix his stuff while I'll start. Well, from what he was saying, it's like the turn-based Final Fantasy VII is the number one selling Final Fantasy game of all. It sold 9.7, maybe up to 10 million by now because of all the different versions there. The Steam version, the PC version, the original PC version, then the Steam version. Then you have all the digital downloads you can get for the PS3, the Vita, the PS4. Those all just make it a lot of sales. So that's one thing that I say, it's a really, really good game. It proves it's a good game. Just PS1 alone sold 9.7 million copies. And so that's really impressive. And so, if you go down the list, I think I can hear you now.
All right, I'm back.
So if you go down the list,
sorry about that, everybody.
It's Final Fantasy VII is number one. It's a turn-based game. Then you have Final Fantasy X for PS2, sold 8.5 million copies. This is just PS2 for Final Fantasy X, turn-based game. Then you have Final Fantasy VIII, PS1, 7.8 million. Another turn-based game. And then the first one that is not turn-based was for the PS2 Final Fantasy XII. That was the best-selling non-turn-based Final Fantasy game, but there was two reasons behind that. One, the game was the first game from Final Fantasy. It was the last Final Fantasy game right before PS3 came out. And it was right in between that phase. Okay, there's been a gap because of Final Fantasy 11 was just an MMO. It's been a couple years after Final Fantasy 10. So what we're gonna get, and then bam, Final Fantasy 12 comes out. It's a completely different battle system, completely different type of game, and it was mixed reviews. It sold well because of that, and it worked with the PS3 when they first came out. So a lot of PS3 sales had Final Fantasy 12. I know I did when I had my PS3. I played Final Fantasy 12 on it. So then if we go down the line some more, you have Final Fantasy 9, a PS1 game was at 5 million, and then 10-2, and then after that, after 10-2, okay, this is absorb this. Final Fantasy X-2 did better than Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah.
That's just one of the things that, 10-2 did better than 13. And
now this is 13, the first iteration of 13?
Yes, this is Final Fantasy 13. For PS3. Now,
let's reiterate one more thing about this was also Final Fantasy's first sequel game. 10-2 was its first sequel game to normally in the Final Fantasy series, for those of you who don't follow it, each Final Fantasy game is its own. It's its own game, it's its own story, none of the same characters are back. They do not have a couple same characters like Biggs and Wedge, but they never look the same. And that's just kind of an ongoing thing they've always done. But all the main characters are always different.
Yep.
Never looking the same, never the same names. And now this first sequel where some of the same name people are coming back. And to think that still sold better and more than Final Fantasy 13, which is a new iteration game for the series.
So, if we go down the line, you see different games. Hell, okay, Final Fantasy 3 for NES sold 3.4 million copies. So that's just showing you that game almost did as well as Final Fantasy 13.
And that was the Japanese game, right? You said NES. So.
94, yes, 1994.
Yeah, wrap this around your heads, everybody. That is just a Japanese game. Okay?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong. It didn't go to Australia or Europe.
It went only to Japan and actually North America.
It did come here. Final Fantasy 3? All right, now wait, is this you're talking about the DS game?
No, it just shows that NES version. It shows that 860,000 copies sold in North America, probably imported.
It has to be something imported because our version of Final Fantasy 3 then was actually 6.
Yeah,
and that was on Super NES.
Well, that could very well be the same thing then. That's what they're talking about.
That could be what that is then.
Anyway, if I keep going down, this is one that really, really caught my eye because I was not expecting this. Let's see if I could find it again. Okay. A turn-based game, Final Fantasy X, 10-2 HD remake for the PS Vita sold 760,000 copies. This is a Vita game. Sold almost as many PS Vitas existing out in this world.
Yes. Let's make sure we understand that. That's Vita. The system that many people are like, what's a Vita?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the latest game from... it did better than Final Fantasy's latest game, which is Lightning Returns. So, yeah.
I mean, it's already been proven that the action-oriented Final Fantasies are not exactly what people want. Yes, it's still giving them numbers. Yeah. Maybe it's easier for them to make, and maybe that's something that's going on that we don't know about.
Exactly.
I can't imagine it would be, but maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not a developer.
Yeah, well, but, it really comes down to what people really want. If they want the turn-based, they'll buy the turn-based. If they want the action-based, they buy the action-based. But then, another game that Square Enix developed and produced was Bravely Default. Was not a Final Fantasy game, but it had everything to do with Final Fantasy. And this game sold 1.2 million copies for the 3DS. If it had Final Fantasy on it, and it was the exact same, it would have sold even more. Because that's what people want in a JRPG.
I know a lot of people growing up and still today that will buy every Final Fantasy game that comes out.
Yeah.
So even if you consider if Bravely Default was a Final Fantasy game, and let's pretend they didn't buy it, they would have bought it.
Yeah.
Adding even more to those numbers than just what you already have there.
Yeah.
It's just all the statistics are showing how strong the turn base is over action. Don't get me wrong, I love me some action. You know what?
Yeah.
I love action RPGs. Look, it's Sora. I love me some Kingdom Hearts. But
I never played a Kingdom Heart.
No.
I probably won't. I'm just not a fan of Disney stuff. That's why I'm not gonna play.
And that's okay. I mean, we'll save that conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But I mean, it goes to show, Kingdom Hearts has its own, and that's fine because it's Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
I just feel like you can't take what people already know about the game specifically that the fans have been wanting.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the correct answer to go, well, the fans have been wanting Final Fantasy VII back out with the most amazing graphics. They want a remake. All right, we're gonna give them a remake. Let's make them happy, and then turn around and go, we're changing the battle system.
Yeah. Next thing, like I said, they're gonna change. And Eris is gonna live, and they're gonna fuck it all up. And you know what? I
mean, these are concerns because if they're changing how the game is going to be playing, this means other things can change too. Now, I don't think she's gonna live.
No,
I don't think it's going to be that drastic because they have a movie. you know, they want to keep selling that movie, which you could buy from anywhere. I don't know if they're still making anything off of it at this point, besides resellers. But
I don't know.
Regardless, it still gets their name out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't think they're gonna do anything that drastic. There might be some other changes,
but I hope they don't change materia. I hope they don't go to the grid system. You know,
and I've got it right here. I mean, just to kind of give everybody an idea of the materia, and this is the worry that even I have. Going to an action-oriented system means that there's no way. I mean, I've played Kingdom Hearts, and I don't want a magic system like that. It's great for that game, but knowing what Final Fantasy VII could do with the many variety of materia, which is magic, spells that you could do, I don't want that for this kind of a game. I want to be able to level up each of my magic and have X amount that I can go down a list and go, this is perfect to fight against this guy, let's try and do it. I mean, I could do a magic to somebody and get 0. What happens if I had this in the middle of a battle? I'm supposed to somehow pause, go and switch my materia out? I mean, these are real legitimate concerns.
You know, like the multi-slash, the all-slash, the mimic materia, and things like that. I don't know how they're going to really do that type of setup with an action-oriented, you know, battle system. And they said it's going to mimic something dealing with, like, Advent Children. They're not going to use Advent Children graphics. It's actually going to look better than Advent Children.
Because it's much older now. It's going to look better.
Yeah, it's going to look better. But it's still... It's... If they're going to make it look similar to Advent Children, that's just, I don't know how that's going to work out.
Right. And okay.
That's going to be weird.
All right. Well, I went ahead, you know, looking through the book here, and just green materia spells, there are 21 materia. That's not counting the fact that some materia is, like say, heal. You have Poisona, Isuna, and Resist. You have another one that's got Seal, Sleep, Silence, Toad, Mini, and Transform. I mean, this is a thing. I mean, those are somewhat different, even though they're kind of like in their own little same category. They do different things, unlike Ice 1, 2, and 3, just getting bigger and stronger. Also, something to mention is that materia, as you got higher in those levels of materia from leveling them up, you were able to hit more enemies. Now, I guess it could, you know, if it's an action-oriented game, they can make like a bubble, a certain area that you can do the magic. Maybe it widens.
Maybe.
I can't imagine, though, even if that's the case, how small is Ice 1 going to be?
Well, you know what?
This is just very hard to think about.
Maybe they're smart enough to change the battle system to be a dynamic turn-based game.
Maybe.
You know, make it look action-y, but it's still turn-based, and then the cast are still the cinematic that we are all fit the norm.
Right.
That's one thing I'm thinking about. So that could be one of the things that they do. But you know, regardless, you know, we'll never know until
we won't know until the game comes out. I mean, there's still some things here There's still some things here that'll totally work, like the blue materia, which is MP absorb, HP absorb. I mean, you just add that to your, you know, whatever you're wearing.
Exactly.
For your armor, or your weapon, or whatever. And those kind of things will still be okay.
Yeah.
Some of these things are nothing to worry about, but then you've got other stuff too that are like, you know, like the summons. Again, I don't want my... Oh, geez, this cat is just insane today. What are you doing, kitty? Get out. You've got summons, and
well, we saw the summon in Final Fantasy 15. Yes, that was badass.
Yes, it was awesome.
You know, if they make the battle system for Final Fantasy 15 for Final Fantasy 7, it could work. I don't know. Could. We'll have to see what it looks like. We'll have to see.
These are just things that we're trying to toss out for you all to kind of imagine and kind of understand that there were just certain ways that these things worked.
Yeah.
when it was a turn-based, because they could manipulate the camera any way they wanted to.
Yeah.
When when you had a chocobo magically come out and a fat chocobo run into people or land on people, and these were things that they had a camera angle set to look at you, and the chocobo's running, and then bam, he runs into the guy, and it's like a funny comical thing, and whoosh, like, you know, bow, kabam, kerplat, kasplooey, like the old Batman with Adam West, it would show up on the screen. And those are funny things, but how can you do that with an action-oriented game? I don't know. Maybe your character runs off and they come out and do their thing. I don't know.
Well, you know, we won't know until they show more and release more. Maybe have to wait next year. We don't even know if the game's going to come out next. I doubt it's coming out next year. It's going to come. It's probably going to be 2017, 18, maybe 19. Fuck it, let's say 20.
I would make it as late as possible for an idea. I mean, they're going to work on this for a while. I mean, Final Fantasy 15 isn't even out yet. They've been working on that for a long, long time. Yeah. So, but I don't know. I mean, did you finish the numbers that I was initially giving until my cat decided to unplug me?
Yeah. I already worked through all of that. So, you know, that's.
I mean, that's not the numbers. I mean, for the for how much each game sold. I mean, just for Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah. I went through all of that. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, come on, people. I mean, Steam as an 18-year-old game selling basically 871,000. Copies.
I agree.
For an 18-year-old game, that is not shabby.
No, that's not.
All they did was put the original PC version on there, because there was a PC version.
Mm-hmm.
I owned it, and they just added cards to get and achievements.
Triple Triad. That's basically what they added, I think.
You know.
No, they didn't add Triple Triad. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. Sorry, guys.
But again, the last thing I did want to kind of at least mention is these things are acceptable to change the gameplay of fighting. When you make games like Crisis Core or Dirge of Cerberus, those are okay, even if it's a sequel, prequel, whatever, because it's not that game. But when you take the very original, which even made it to greatest hits back then because it was so popular, when you say, here it comes, we're doing it, people automatically have it in their head, this is the way it's going to be. I don't blame people for being pissed. I was as shocked as anyone.
Yeah. Well, I do predict it's going to sell. It's going to sell.
It's going to sell.
It's going to hit.
Absolutely.
It may hit 9 million. It may hit 10 million because the PS4 is already at 20-something million units sold. So... It's gonna make a lot of money, regardless of the battle system. All these people that are actually upset and pissed off and whatnot, they're gonna stop having the sand in their ass or whatever, and you know they're gonna chill out. They're gonna stop, and the hardcore fanboys about Final Fantasy or anything like that, they're the ones that probably may not even buy the game. You know, if that's what changed, and that's what they love so much about the game. You know what? If you love the game so damn much, don't buy the new one. Just play your Final Fantasy VII game.
And again, if you have a Vita, you can not only just play it on PS3, you can play it on the Vita and on the road. Yeah. You know,
it might not be
your PSP.
It may not be your ideal setup, but hey, it's still. It's a Final Fantasy game that you enjoyed. You know, I remember memories of playing the game when I was a kid. So it's dear to a lot of people's hearts because it was probably their first Final Fantasy game. But you know what? Some people have never played it or could give two shits about the game. And, you know, it's what it is. So, you know, it really comes down to we're going to have to wait. We're going to have to see what happens. And we'll go from there. But
I have one more thing. You know, this could be a good thing, of course. The Area Condor. Remember that little strategy mini game you had to play there?
No.
They might fix that one.
No.
Or maybe for the love of God, they'll take away the cross-dressing.
No. They have to keep that. That's a part. they have to keep that. That's a part. You know,
that is a part.
That is a part of the story. So they have to keep that, and that's going to be funny as hell in high definition.
Yes, it is.
But
And
no.
you know, it's gonna do what it's gonna do. It's gonna sell. I mean, everyone's gonna buy it, right?
Yep.
So I don't think, regardless of what happens, if you're a fan of it and you really want to play it, regardless, get it.
Yeah.
You know, what's it gonna hurt? You're gonna play it. You'll find out whether you like it or not. But at least you get your story that you wanted, and in high definition,
Maybe.
and the most amazing graphics you can. So,
Maybe.
anyways,
we don't know.
that's our mini cast for today. We had to get this out to you all since we just put the other podcast out.
Yeah,
saying
no
that.
kidding.
It was just too coincidental.
Yeah.
So,
all right, guys.
everybody.
Well, thank you for tuning in. For those that did, and we're gonna try to put out some mini casts here and there about some really fun news that we find out. But regardless, tune in on the Live Filter channel for Let's Plays, and actually just hang out sometimes. And then our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the MegaZone podcast, and subscribe, follow us, and we'll actually be doing a lot of podcasts and other gameplays through there, and just have some fun.
Absolutely, and don't forget our Twitter accounts at the Life Filter for Mr. Life Filter right there. Don't forget me at the Mega Zero, and don't forget our main one, which is at MegaZone Podcast. And I guess until next time, everybody.
Yeah, game on.
For now, game on. This was our Final Fantasy VII minicast.
Oh, you fucking did it, didn't you?